Now that we downloaded the VNC software to the desktop of the old computer or our server, we can install it and begin setting it up. So I'll double click on the install file. And it's a typical wizard-based installation, so click Next. There's some terms here. Click Next. Select the folder you want to install it to. Click Next. Now there's three components that you could install. I'm going to install the server and the viewer. I'm not going to install the web pages and documentation. So I'll click Next and click Next again. Now there's an option here, server configuration. We want to click register the new type VNC server as a system service. What this will do is as soon as the computer starts up, this will automatically start running this so that when we start it, it's ready to be connected to from our desktop. So we'll click Next, then click Install. It takes about 2 seconds to install. We'll click OK, Finish, and there's one setup option that you want to do. So I'll click Setup. I'll launch the server. And if you notice, there's a couple things here. It says password, so I just want to set a password in here. And make it something that you'll remember. And say apply. OK. And that's it. So now, next time this computer restarts, this service will start running. And as soon as it's up and running, I'll instantly be able to connect to it from my desktop. Now we need to know the IP address of the server machine so that when we try to connect to it later from the desktop, we know where we're looking. So to find your IP address on your machine, go Start, Run, then type CMD and hit Enter. Now that'll bring up the command prompt. When you're at the command prompt, you have to type ipconfig, all one word, and hit Enter. And this will give you a couple different numbers. It will give you, first it'll give you the name of your network, so whatever you named your network. It will give you your IP address on the network, and then a couple other pieces of information. So mine is 192.168.2.2. I'll write that down so when I use the desktop to connect to this server later, I know what address. Now that we've installed the software on the server computer, we're going to be working on the new computer. So I've also downloaded the VNC software to the desktop of the new computer, and we'll install it here. So same thing, you walk through that same wizard, click Next again, decide what folder you want to install it to, and then the same set of options here. So again, we definitely don't want the web pages and documentation. I also don't want to run the server on this computer, I just want to run the viewer, so I'll uncheck server and I'll click Next. And Next again, and Next again. So then we'll click the Install button and begin installing. The viewer installs real quick. We'll click Finish. Now that we have the software installed on the server computer and on our desktop computer, or our main computer, we're ready to connect to the server computer. So what I've done is I started the server and it's running right now. And what I want to do is find out the IP address that it's on. Now, if you remember, I wrote down the IP address on a piece of paper earlier, but what I'm also going to do is I'm logged into my router right now, and I'm looking at the client list of the router. So this is telling me any computers that are attached to my router right now. And if you look here, there's the computer I'm on and then the server computer, and here's the IP address of the server. So I'm going to just copy that down. And now I'm going to launch the viewer software. So I'll double click that to launch it, and it's already set up in there, but I could just paste in or type in the IP address of the server computer. Now there's a couple different connection options you could set: low bandwidth, default, high-speed network. If I go to high-speed network and I click connect, the first thing it wants to do is it wants to know the password for the server on that machine, and it's the password we set up earlier. So I'll type that in and click OK. And now it's connected to that server, and what I'm looking at is I'm looking at the server computer right now. Now it didn't log all the way into the computer because I didn't put in the Windows password for that computer. So I'll just click on my ID there and I'll type in the Windows password to that computer. Click Start, and it'll finish logging all the way in a minute we'll see the desktop of that computer. So as that computer starts up, you'll see the desktop for that computer. Then if I click over here, you'll see the desktop for the computer that I'm working on right now. And I can click back here, and you see the mouse kind of does a funky little thing as I move back and forth. And now I can do anything I want on that computer as if I'm sitting right there at the keyboard and the mouse of that computer. So if I want to launch a program, I'll just go to Start, and I can, open up the browser there and do whatever I want. So once that launches, if I want to go to Google, just type that in and go to Google. If I want to go to anywhere there, I can just type that in and do it. Close that. I can launch, any other software that might be running on this computer. So if I wanted to say, I don't know, run Notepad or whatever else. I don't really have a lot of software installed on this computer because the only thing I really want to use it for is a server to back up my other computers on the network, and I want to use it as a server to host my files and my applications, things like that. So if I right click and say explore, you could see a couple things. You could see where I created a file called backup, and one of the things I have backed up there is my iTunes library with all my music. I have my documents all backed up there. I'm gonna lose, and I can close that like that. Now the other nice thing is when I'm done using that computer and I want to turn that computer off, I don't have to run all the way over to wherever that computer is and shut it down. I could just go Start, turn off computer, turn off. The first thing you'll notice is the connection drop, so it closes the window because the server is now turned off, so I can't see that computer anymore. And in another couple seconds, computer's off, and you can't see it, but I'm looking over and I see the little green light on that computer just turned off. So those are some of the things you could do.